your face? Oh, jeez, a whiz.
Off the get-go. Who did that?
God damn it, Ryan.
That was me. Hey, guys. Well, welcome back to episode 17 now of the show.
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, it's been a lot of fun.
What's up? Happy 17.
Happy 17. I remember being 17. I was a lot lankier, had more hair. Brad told me to leave my hair on. You actually,
I told you to leave your
hat on, hair on.
Do everybody a favor.
It's one of those days, okay? It's one of those days, but it's a better day because he's not pictured here. He's here, by the way. Hey, Gav.
How are we?
Okay, wow, you got it. It's good we put that on your head.
Wow.
Talk about big heads for a second.
It's good lighting here.
It's all about the lighting. Well, didn't you say that I need to wear the hat so my forehead didn't?
Yeah, your six head didn't show. It was shining a little bit.
Okay, time out. Get a visual on this. Does this look? That doesn't look okay. We'll put that down. That's rough. Okay. Well, for those that don't know that are tuning in, Gavin, this is Gavin Sheets, current Chicago White Sox. Go Sox,
Go
Gav.
Sox, baby.
But Baltimore native, born and raised here. Gavin and I actually have known each other for too long. If we want to, what's our history here? Known each other since birth?
Yeah, and you were putting me in lockers since I was about 6, so we go way back.
Yeah, you know what? That's how we build friendship. And actually, the weird thing is too, our dads played baseball together, drafted the same year.
Yeah.
They coached us in high school, and they've seen a lot, the best and the worst of all
The
of
good,
us.
bad, the ugly.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But you're back for the season.
Yeah.
Obviously not the season that the Sox wanted, but hey, that's how the cookie crumbles. Sorry.
Happens fast.
It happens fast. Well, you know what? I'll say this. Can you just tell people, by the way, just going through a season, how it's exciting when you get the season going, but then the challenge of when things go wrong, and then you got to keep playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you're looking at August and you're 30 games below 500, it makes for a really long season. 162 is long anyways, but when you're out of the playoff hunt already in August, it's a grind to get through the rest of it. But obviously you be a professional and you take it day by day, but it's at the end of the day, you want to play for a championship. And if you're not doing that, it's a big time disappointment.
Yeah. I mean, like without, totally putting you on the spot, it's just like one of those things just from my own personal perspective, not speaking for anybody else, but when you're not really playing for anything, like there's just got to be a different feeling every day you go out there to work. Right.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it becomes more of a selfish game. You're still trying to go out and win games, but at the same time, it's like it's tough to get up for them and know that you're really not playing for anything other than yourself and wins. That you're obviously trying to win every game, but the big picture, it really affects the season.
Right.
And when the season's a marathon, anyways, the last thing you want to do is be knocked out of it early.
Right.
Yeah, I mean. Especially like you're programmed your entire life that we go out there and like, let's win games. We want to win. Then you get the pro ball and they're like, hey, in the minors, oh, you guys are 50 games out. Well, hey, you're doing great. You're moving up. It's so opposite. But now, obviously, when you get to the big leagues, it's all about winning. Doesn't matter how you do it. You got to win games. If you don't perform, they're going to find somebody else. But man, it's well, like in Baltimore here, that's what the guys dealt with.
Oh yeah,
sure.
Oh yeah.
I know you guys had a rough year, but in Baltimore here, anyone that's tuning in, woof, it wasn't a pretty.
Wasn't a rough decade.
18 to 21 were rough years.
And you remember that, and you remember the feeling of how much it sucks to be losing, and it makes you enjoy the season that the Orioles is having even more right now because you remember how miserable it was to not be a very good team.
For sure, and I think also like we just talked about this before we went on air. I was mentioning about how the Twins, their stadium was just rocking. I mean, it just sounded, it was so loud. But I mean, they haven't won a series since 2002, which is so like, to your point, just you kind of appreciate the moment that you're in a little bit more just because it's been so long.
Yeah. Baseball is it's hard to win.
Yeah.
It's hard and you got to enjoy it. And obviously a team like Minnesota, it's cool to see them doing what they're doing. And, a fan base that's craving for some postseason baseball.
Craving's an understatement. So hey, well,
unless you're a Rays fan, I guess.
Oh well, okay. Let's get this out of the way. That crowd situation in Tampa. And we've heard every rhyme and reason. And I want to bring this up to everyone that's listening right now. If you haven't heard, the Rays are knocked out of the playoffs, obviously. But on top of it, the Rays could not sell out either of their home playoff games. And not just not sell out. They only had a capacity, I think, of 19,000. Was that what I saw the number at?
Yeah.
Something like that?
19,700.
19,700 postseason game, elimination game. And I know they're saying it's midweek and, it's a day game and all this thing. But here's the thing, and I wanted to throw this stat out here for everyone that's saying that. In 2022, so last year, the Cleveland Guardians in the playoffs, they have the 25th highest or 25th lowest attendance rate. That place was packed.
Yeah.
Right? The Minnesota Twins, 20th last year. And I think if I'm looking at it right now, whammy, they're 19th. That place was packed. And we talked about that energy was electric.
Yeah.
To me, it's not, and I get it, things happen, but as a player,
I can't imagine. You talk about it's a complete opposite of a home field advantage because, as the home team, you're so disappointed in your crowd that you're kind of deflated. And then as the away team, you're like, this is nothing. You take advantage of it, and I think it almost plays a reverse of a home field advantage.
Yeah, I mean, what they Rays scored one whole run?
Scored one run in the series. I think 31 innings of not scoring or something like that.
And they played uncharacteristic baseball. They're making errors. Everything that they do really well, they didn't do in that series. They made 4 errors in one game, and that's a team that's built around speed and defense and pitching. And to see that was really surprising.
Yeah, and then also the fact of it, they played that first game like they were on the road in a hostile environment.
Yeah.
That's how it actually looked like. Now we know baseball happens and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, and that was the other thing I wanted to do this because a lot of Oriole fans, because we're going to talk about this Orioles-Rangers series in depth, but this year the Orioles are ranked 21st in attendance, so their Orioles are averaging just under 24,000. I will take it to Vegas. I will sell everything I own that Camden Yards is going to be packed past capacity. That place is going to be rocking. And to your point, I just, as a player, it sucks. For the game, it sucks. You can say whatever you want, but to see a half-empty stadium in the biggest games of the year, this is the moments you live for. So to touch on that then, through all this series, are you surprised then with the result with Texas?
No. I think Texas is a team built around some really, really good veterans. They've got a lot of playoff experience on that team. They're going to be a tough team to beat. It's going to be this weekend's going to be a really, really good matchup for the Orioles. I think that if you're a baseball fan, it's going to have the championship series feel, in my opinion. I think these two teams are obviously Houston is what they are in the playoffs, but Texas was the number 1 team in the AL for most of the season.
They're rocking.
So that's a really dangerous lineup, and it'll be interesting to see how the Orioles pitching fares up. I think that it'll be a really good matchup.
Well, yeah, hold that thought for a second. But anything in general, I think just getting the point out, Brad. I talked to Brad about this.
Yeah,
there's really no surprises now when you get to the postseason. Right? Like it's anybody can beat anybody. And actually we saw clean sweeps across the board in the first round. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
that was the crazy part to me. Like it would almost felt like it was effortless to these teams that swept them. It was like, wow, that wasn't all that entertaining. And most of them were kind of blowouts.
Yeah. The only series I was really surprised about, I didn't think the Brewers would go down like they did. I would have picked every series, but I would have thought the Brewers were going to beat Arizona.
Well, and the Brew Crew, if I'm not mistaken, had leads in each game. They were up 3-0 with Corbin Burns on the mound.
Yeah.
They're stud. And then Corbin Carroll, monster. That dude can bang.
That's a tough team to beat because they use their feet. They can steal more bases than any team. And
timeout. Have you not heard that phrase before?
That dude can bang?
Well, you haven't heard that phrase before? Like he can hit. It's a baseball term. I'm not talking. Okay, see, this
is what I've been talking about. Anytime analysts are talking goes on TV, there's always innuendos. That's all I'm saying.
It's
There's always something.
Well, Charles Barkley
I'm
definitely
sure
has the
he can
worst
bang.
of them.
Yeah.
Charles Barkley. Yeah. Okay. I can't speak on that preference, but the dude can rake. But the backs though, to your point, Gav, like that's a young team that can do some damage. But in the postseason, really anything can happen. It's whoever's hot at the right time.
100%. It's all about who's hot. It'd be interesting to see. I usually think that teams have an advantage when they win the wild card series because they're playing, they're in the momentum. They're nothing's new to them anymore. You saw Phillies last year win the wild card and then go on to the World Series. It's usually, I don't think rest in baseball is necessarily a good thing. The longer you go without seeing live pitching and you get a little rusty. So, but I think the Orioles are young enough. There's going to be a lot of excitement. Obviously Baltimore is going to be, we know what kind of crowd that they bring every week. And in big games. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be good. And I think I just want to point this out for anyone that tunes in. We'll answer questions if you have for Gav, relatively speaking. If you got a question of what the term bang means for baseball, I'd be glad to elaborate even more.
Maybe we don't.
Okay. Well, it means hit. It means that you can swing it. And Gavin's not going to back me. He backed me up here. This is true.
I'm staying out of this one. I'm staying out of this one.
Unbelievable. Okay. You know what? I was going to give you a cool moment here.
Listen, I'm a 12-year-old boy, and I understand that, but I don't care. Anytime a color commentator tells me that the sacks are full, I chuckle a little bit. It's just because I'm immature like that.
Bags are loaded, sacks full.
I'm
baseball terms are one of a kind. There's no doubt about that.
Football's up there too.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay,
lots of penetration going on.
Okay, oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to talk about then because the postseason. We just talked about some of the opening thoughts here, Gav. I actually have, which I know you've seen on here. Can I? Oh yeah, here it is. We accidentally had it to open up the program here. But we're going to go back to the beginning. This is you in Game 4 in 2021. Whammy. Slider. Doesn't he? Lance throws what? 70%?
Yeah, he's
crushed that
slider. Faced him in Game 1 and came around. He threw Game 4 against us. Was always a tough at bat for me. And I finally sold out to a slider there and got one. And there's nothing better than postseason baseball. That's for sure.
So like that moment where when you're around the bases being like,
you can't feel anything in your body. You're just numb. You're just trying to take it in, but at the same time you're running around the bases probably faster than your normal sprint.
Yeah, you were moving way quicker than you ever have.
I mean, that looked like I was beating out a ball to first.
It's the same speed.
Yeah,
it's got to be like the most incredible feeling ever.
It is, and you just. We're talking about it's just postseason baseball. You know that there's going to be a big crowd. You feed off of that, and then when the day comes and you just see the people flock in, and they never sit. They're just making noise the whole. It feels like it's like a football atmosphere.
Yeah.
And you don't get that in baseball very often. And it's one of a kind. I mean, you see the Philly series right now. It's electric.
Bananas.
Yeah, it's electric
Frenzy.
when they bring that.
Yeah, bananas.
And like that makes it exciting. I think that's why baseball is unique to your point. It's not happening every night. You play 162 games, maybe throughout that course of it, you're going to have a handful, maybe 10 games where you're going, wow, this place is going nuts. And just from that many people, when it's the playoffs, though, it's pitch by pitch. Everything's magnified.
Everything matters. Every run matters. Every pitch. You never know what's going to happen on pitch to pitch. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best form of baseball. There's no doubt.
Well, it certainly is. And for Camden Yards being back in Baltimore, this place is going to be popping this weekend. Your guy, shout out me for a second. I will be doing Pickles pregame for 105.7 on Saturday, 12 to 1, and I think 2 to 3:30. Stop traffic. Come by, enjoy some drinks. Come say hello. That place is going to be a zoo.
Yeah.
I don't even know I don't even know what to expect. Like I expect chaos. Like
Look,
I truly.
Are you even gonna? You should just park here and Uber over.
I might just
walk.
Yeah.
Get my steps in.
Get your steps in.
being retired now.
Sign some autographs on your way over.
Well, not that because not yet. But you know what though? You didn't believe me. I am still working out. By the way, deadlifts this morning. Got up at 6.
Mm.
Look at. You don't think this physique?
I see that. It's a lot of walking in that.
Wow. Wow. Don't get me going here. But anyway, so good transition. Baltimore is going to be packed. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere, Orioles, Rangers, and that's what we want to dive into. I guess the first thing, because you saw the Orioles when we played against each other, actually, is back in 2021, AAA, and you got up to the bigs. Team was, let's just put it lightly, we talk about things being a dumpster fire kind of. It, unfortunately for the Orioles, it was bad.
They lost 100 games 2 years ago.
Vibes were, I can attest that vibes were low.
Yeah.
Vibes were low. I think Steve Wilkerson at the time, one of the Orioles players, was up and down between AAA and the bigs. He was with us in Charlotte when we were playing you the first time. And then we lost 5 in a row. We got called up, and then they lost 14 more in a row and then got sent back down. And then we lost 3 more. So he went almost like a calendar year or a calendar month without winning. Whammy.
Fleeting thought, by the way, that Charlotte minor league stadium is beautiful. Awesome.
Oh, love it.
I haven't been to a ton of them like you guys have, but like that place is amazing.
It's
12
incredible.
out of 10.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
12 out of 10.
Get a chance to go.
Hey, don't tempt me with a good time. Had some great relationships, connections down there. But back to what I wanted to get to, the difference with this Orioles team this year. Let's start with that, because the Orioles had a very solid year last year, Gav, but man, things just changed. Things really took off, and even more than what people even expect
Since they called up Adley, really.
Yeah. In my opinion, obviously last year they could really pitch, and that stayed pretty much the same this year. They've added a couple starting pitchers, which has helped them, and their bullpen is their strong suit. But the biggest difference to me is the way they could swing it. You had Gunnar, and obviously Adley was up last year when I played them, and Mullins, but Santander and Gunnar and Adley and these guys, they Mountcastle. I mean, they're a deep lineup. They're a dangerous lineup. I think where at one point when it was like 3 or 4 guys that you kind of wanted to avoid, and then you kind of attack different sets of the lineup. But now it's just 1 through 9. They can get after it. They play great defense, and they can really pitch. So it's a tough team.
It's about to say 1 through 9 can bang,
1 through 9 can bang. I mean,
it's a saying. It's a real thing.
I got it.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a real thing.
So the lineup, obviously, top to bottom, that's what's made them so much more of a dangerous team. The starting pitching really took a step too. So, Kyle Bradish, who I know you faced in 21, didn't get a chance to face him this year. I don't think you faced him last year. You might have.
I think I faced him in Baltimore last year, but no, he's a different guy this year. Obviously Grayson has turned it on in the second half. You bring in a guy like Gibson, who is an unbelievable veteran from what I've heard, a great clubhouse guy who knows how to manage games and go deep into innings and games. And then you had a guy like Flaherty at the deadline. So you got
Fuji,
which we've caught so much flack for defending. All the time.
Big Fuji guy. He threw 103. Got to root for the guy. But so
Means comes back as well. So it's another weapon that you have.
Okay, so can you, because you just brought up Kyle Gibson can you explain how having a guy like that in your locker room is something you can't quantify with data?
Yeah, you bring in guys like Frazier, Gibson, and McCann, and I don't care what their performance on the field is, but they are unbelievable people to have in a clubhouse, and they're the guys that can show the young guys how to do things, how to go about their business, how to play a full season, how to get ready for the postseason. I don't care what they do on the field. Anything that they add to the field is a bonus, because you're bringing these guys in to lead the clubhouse, and I think you need guys like that on a winning team.
Well, okay, what about you that year in 21?
So I had Lance Lynn, Dallas Keuchel, Rodon, Abreu. I mean, we had
you had guys that, again, like some of those guys were having really good years. Yeah. Some of those guys were having, up and down, but that's the point. I think everyone gets caught up with there's someone else that can come up and replace these guys. And you could say maybe talent-wise, sure, but from a leadership, from an ability standpoint, when things get tough,
yeah,
I think that's where in sports things get gets blown out of proportion.
Well, we talked about that earlier in the season. George Springer had that over. What was that? The over 32 or something crazy. And we were just like, what's going on?
That's not crazy, by the way. I'll show you crazy, but that it does.
You know what I'm saying? For George Springer,
sure.
that was crazy. That was highly unusual for George Springer. So my point was just that, like, just keeping him around in the clubhouse because he's been there, done that. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine has to carry merit too.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why you bring in guys like that, and especially on a team like the Orioles with so many young guys. Those are the guys that are leading them right now, preparing them for what to expect on Saturday. Walking them through it. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. You have to have guys like that. Every winning team has guys like that.
Well, so we talked about evolutions of it. So you brought up Grayson Rodriguez for a second. So fun little thing. And we're going to break that down because you got to see Grayson before. And actually, it's funny. I think at the time when we talked, and I know you were feeling good, you're like, yeah, well, is you were worried a little bit, but quite frankly, Birdland was worried when Grayson came up, which I think people forget he's just came up to the big leagues. You're not going to get off to the best start. But the reason why I want to bring this up, and we have some clips here, is you saw a drastic difference in stuff when you faced him. And I have some at-bats here. Some of them were really good for you. Some of them, not so good.
Not so good.
So let's start with the good for you, bad for Grayson. Okay? So I think you remember this moment.
When the stuff isn't enchanted. Gavin Sheets in the air, right field. Vavra has no play.
We don't need the volume for that.
Yeah.
Hey, good trot. Yeah. Good trot. But I'm gonna bring this back now for a second here. And this is kind of what I wanted, and you can touch on this in a second. But earlier on to me, and you can tell me, with Grayson with his off-speed pitches, that is
can't throw it there.
That's what we call the wheelhouse.
Yeah. You can't throw it there and you can't miss that pitch.
So, and I felt like that was happening more early on, that his out pitches, it was hard for him his changeup was supposed to be his second best pitch. That's the one he throws the most besides his fastball. But you guys as hitters, you felt like that wasn't scaring you off that first time.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I just felt like we could see the changeup better the first time around, which made his fastball not play up as much.
Okay.
Obviously, he was still throwing 99, and it's an electric arm. But just I don't know whether it was the conviction he was throwing with, or I'm not a pitching guy, so I don't know. But I thought, in my opinion, that was the pitch that changed the most for his evolution to becoming who we saw the second time around in late August.
Well, we're going to get to that in a second. My opinion of what I've seen, but you got to see it eye to eye, was his misses were up.
Yeah.
His changeup, if that's going to be his pitch, it's got to be, and we're going to talk about location here. When this is coming off, when you're watching this, the direction, the movement's good, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, but the problem is that thing hangs up and that goes in the middle part of the plate. So if I keep this going, oh, there it goes. Never mind. Nice beard, by the way. But right there, you're making contact. That's a good place to hit the ball still.
Yeah.
And then you stay on it enough. Nice. Get your little jog to first base. Nice single. Good for you. This is where I want people to see the difference. And I was telling Brad about this. So we saw the curveball. We saw the fastball. Or sorry, curveball and changeup. This is a changeup that he threw to you with 2 strikes. And I know you know the difference, Gav. And that's close enough. You got to swing at it. And, you stuck your ass out.
Yeah. And not to mention, I mean, the other one, I played the changeup back a little bit because I wasn't as worried about the fastball just because of the way I was playing that day.
Yeah.
But this night, I mean, the way his changeup was playing, it made his fastball, which he was already pumped up and he was throwing 101 that night or whatever.
But, it was. Yeah.
It just played so much more. I felt like I had to cheat to the heater. So that's how you get swings like that when the changeup's working well enough to make you cheat to the fastball, and the change of speeds that he was using that night was second half's been pretty special.
Yeah, let me see. There it is. Okay, missed it. Here, I want to try to get a freeze frame of.
Yeah, let's keep watching it, please.
Yeah, but if you guys can see where that dot is right there, it comes out of his hand, and when it's coming out, I know this is a good moment for you.
Yeah, please.
Love it. But same thing we talked about. Right there, if you're going to swing, you got to be ready. And that's a pitch that was on the we're missing the thing now because of the lag of it. But he made it because his fastball he was throwing it with more conviction and he was putting away his changeup, he had better results, right? So that was good there. Now we'll get off of it for you for a second.
Thank
so
you.
It's not just you.
Appreciate that.
This is Josh Lowe against the Orioles, and this is the game I think that Grayson, the Orioles really needed.
I thought this was Grayson's biggest game of the year.
Oh yeah,
Looking at it as a baseball fan, knowing that this was a must win. This saved a sweep, right?
Yeah, this was game 3 they were tied in the division.
Game 3 of a 4-game
game 3 of a 4-game
series.
Game 3.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, this is a must win. You have to win. You're at home. You cannot lose 3 in a row to the Rays at this point. And watching from afar, I was like, this is going to see what you got from Grayson. This is going to test you and see, what you can expect from him in the playoffs.
And to your point, this is a big part of the game. It's 0-1, first and third. Rays are trying to get back into it, and we saw that great changeup. He had a great swing on it before, Gav. But here's this for Grayson right there. Changeup off the plate, low reaches, double play out of the inning. There it is.
Great pitch.
And so I think that's what I've seen more of for Grayson for me, is that he's using his fastball.
Because if you look at that, I mean, that's where he's throwing 100 as well in that same spot.
Right.
Maybe a little higher. So for him to be able to drop, 85 with movement down and away, it's as a hitter, you have to pick one. But when you get to 2 strikes and you're battling, it's a tough matchup.
Well, and a lot of guys, if you're going to be hitting, I know we can talk about a different time of sitting on pitches.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about that. If you got a tendency of pitchers, you can say I'm going to wait back. But Grayson's throwing fuel. He's throwing 101. To your point, when that ball's got rise, you have to cheat a little bit. And some of these guys, I bet you with Josh right there, he's thinking heater.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't know what he started him off with, but if he started off with that slow breaking ball, or even if he started off with changeup, you're looking for that 101. It's in the tank. Whether he shows it to you or not at any point, it's in the tank. And only the way to square up is if you cheat a little bit to it.
Right. And I actually I had a tweet out that I put. This was in context to Grayson's numbers, by the way, before the All-Star break. It was when he came up in his ERA. I understand fastball ERAs are always going to be higher. We understand that because that's what people are going to try to do their most damage. And I guess I've tweeted more than I thought recently. Gosh, why aren't you liking more of my tweets, Gav? There we go. Tweets or X's. I don't know. Anyway, so here's the part.
Posts.
I found this fascinating because we talked about this is what plays off of him to make his strengths. 4-seam and changeup are the 2 most pitches Grayson Rodriguez throws. April and May, his 4-seam fastball was a 7.31 ERA. Changeup was a 4.32. After he came back up in July, 4-seam fastball ERA down to 3.77, changeup down to 2.28. And yes, if you look at his slider, sweeper, whatever it is, that number's lower. But Grayson, like you're talking about, that's his bread and butter, is that his fastball changeup combo is what's going to make him separate him. But if it's not on, and as you as a hitter don't have to respect the other pitch, or you feel in control, it doesn't play to it, he was going to have struggles, which he did.
And a guy like that with the stuff that he has, to see those numbers so inflated at 7.3 and 4.3, it makes you wonder if he was tipping his pitches, just because, his stuff is too good for guys to be hammering that like that. So you don't know if maybe when they sent him down, they knew he was doing something on his fastball and something on his changeup and change that around, because, to be throwing 100 miles an hour and an 85-mile-an-hour changeup, those numbers are way too high to make any sense.
That's a really great point. So we did this with Fuji. Mm-hmm. We took out his performance against Houston. And since the All-Star break, so with Houston, it was what his ERA was above 7. I want to say 6 or 7. Take Houston out and it's below 3.
With the Orioles?
Yeah. With the Orioles. Right. So, I mean, to your point, like you got to wonder if maybe the Astros either have his number or he doesn't perform well against the Astros, or maybe there's some sort of tell.
Which would make sense because the Astros were in Oakland's division.
Right.
So,
right.
That's obviously if they have a tip on him, and I mean, if you can eliminate a splitter, it makes him much more hittable. So, maybe they had a tip on him being in the same division and they knew something and could eliminate a pitch. And that makes a huge, huge difference.
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to pull back up the tweet here, but
so just don't Just don't pitch Fuji against the Astros.
Yeah, it's really, he's got a 47 ERA. He's given up
It's a
6 runs. Yeah, everything that's gone wrong has been, but the point of it, the tipping pitches is a real thing too, and I think that was a problem with Grayson for a little bit.
They even openly said that we're sending him down because he's got some tipping problems, and we want to work on that.
Yeah, and then he came back up and shoved, and now really it's probably going to be him and Kyle Brash going to be the games 1 and game 2. So we got into that. So we talked about the Orioles, but what makes this Rangers team coming in so dangerous? And
you want to run up the comparison?
That would be great. Let's pull in the comparison now just to give people a little bit of context of what we're talking about here. Nice graphic there, Brad.
Thank you, sir.
So right now we just want to do a little bit of comparison with what we're dealing with and just why we're bringing this up. Team average, kind of similar, but the Rangers, that's the 3rd best average in baseball. Their slugging is also 3rd. Team ERA, you're seeing similar, but what's the biggest difference right there? Can anyone read or look at numbers correctly? Gavin, I know you can.
1-run games, Ryan.
There you go.
1-run games.
So it kind of correlates, right? Because the Rangers have one of the worst bullpens ERA-wise in all of baseball.
And that's the clear advantage.
That was the clear advantage there. But also, if you're going to have a lot of 1-run games and you're losing them, that probably means you're not closing them out enough, which the Rangers, when they were struggling, that's what happened. So the Orioles advantage them in the situational part. But this is why you want to throw it all out of the playoffs. And this is why, Gav, I want you to explain to listeners here why this Texas team can be so dangerous, because they do have some really good arms.
Yeah, by the way, the record between the Orioles and Rangers this year is 3-3.
Yep.
I actually thought if there was going to be a team that broke that record as far as not getting swept, I thought it was going to be the Rangers. The way they played them the first 2 games, and the Orioles squeaked out that last one.
Squeaked it out.
So this team is still very, very dangerous.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that their strengths and weaknesses kind of match up with each other. So it'll be interesting to see how it happens. I think the clear advantage goes to Baltimore with the bullpen. I would honestly put Texas's offense higher than Baltimore's. You've got any lineup that has Simeon and Corey Seager in it. I don't care who you're matching up against.
Yeah.
Other than the Braves, I think the Rangers had the most impressive offense in baseball this year. And then you look at starting pitching. I think that the Orioles, I don't know what you're going to get because it's a young starting. You've got Evaldi, and we'll see what happens with Scherzer, and obviously the way Montgomery just threw the ball for the Rangers. Those guys are veterans that have been in a lot of playoff games, World Series games, and you're going up against a rookie and Bradish, who I don't think obviously hasn't pitched in the postseason well. So, I go clear advantage to the Orioles with the bullpen. I would go advantage to the Rangers with their offense, and I think I would go advantage to the Rangers with their starting pitching.
And that's based really off of experience. And I mean, Evaldi is one of those guys. Jordan Montgomery was lights out the other day.
Lights out.
Yeah. And he's probably going to be ready to go game. He could go game 1, but probably for basing it out, the 5-day rest would be him going on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So and that's another part of it. I don't think there's that much of a disadvantage of now playing in the wild card. When it was a 1 game and you're in or done, you had to, by any means necessary, I thought that put it at a disadvantage. The Rangers are only going to lose 1 day of their rotation.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, you look at them in Minnesota, and they've got, Minnesota's got Pablo Lopez right back on full rest.
Crazy.
Honestly, I think there's an advantage. Like I said earlier, if you win the wild card, I think you have the advantage going into the next series.
It's kind of funny. It's not just with baseball. We saw this. Was it 2-3 years ago? Ravens had a bye week. Lamar's MVP season.
Oh yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Well, yeah, but I thought it was the same type of.
You're exactly right.
Like
you're exactly right.
Just not too much time between reps, and then you kind of lose a little bit.
Well, and the Ravens also, they sat a lot of their starters in the final game of the season.
That's what I'm saying.
And then got the bye, and then got beat pretty bad. Gavin and I were together for that game as well.
We were not in good moods that night.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody was.
Henry over the top kind of threw everybody off.
Well, yeah.
You
just want to know. We'll just say how my night ended here. Well, first off, we had a nice tailgate going. Best of 101 is all I'll have to say. You guys can come by and check it out sometime. And the other part of it though was they were done leaving the stadium and they were clearing out popcorn. They go, "Oh, do you want it?" And so they gave me, I kid you not, they gave me a trash bag of popcorn. Like not like a little bag that you put right in the bathroom.
Yeah.
They gave me an industrial sized.
They knew you needed it at the time.
And Jamie was working that night too. Yeah. So Jamie got back to the apartment and I have my feet up with the bag over my shoulder, just eating. I was having an emotional moment. It was my comfort food.
I'd have not been happy with all that.
Yeah,
popcorn.
Tennessee won the first game and came in with momentum. You know, that's postseason.
Oh, well, they almost took it to Kansas City too.
Yeah,
they won it by 3 scores.
They had the lead.
First quarter, yeah.
So postseason is all about who's playing the best ball, who's got the highest momentum.
Yep.
So with Ben saying the advantage feels like it's at an all-time low. That's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, it's not like the one game and then the team has to get ready in a day or two.
Yeah.
There's 3. I mean, yes, granted, if it went to a best of 3, it's less time, but look at this scenario. There was no disadvantage. The only disadvantage was that you needed to win the series to get in, but your team is getting the reps, and that's what Gav's talking about. Yeah. Nothing.
Well, here's the other thing. I mean, and obviously playoffs are a little bit of a different atmosphere, and I could be totally off base, but Orioles didn't skip a beat after the All-Star break, so I guess there's something to be said for that.
And there's no doubt that the advantage, you know, the home field crowd in Baltimore will be an advantage. You know, this isn't going to be the Trop. This place is going to be it's going to be rocking. It's going to be loud. And I think the young guys are going to feed off of it. You know, Adley played in the College World Series. He won the College World Series, so he's not new to moments like this. You know, they've got plenty of veterans there. I think that home field crowd is really going to be an advantage for them in the first 2 games.
You know, we talk about experience and how that's an advantage, but what about that inexperience of just like unfamiliarity? Like they just don't care. Sure. You know what I mean? Like there's just where there almost isn't any pressure. And that's kind of how the club's been playing all season, that they've been kind of playing pretty free. And Brandon Hyde was talking to this about SVP earlier about how that's how he's been coaching pretty much this last half of the season, is just like kind of letting them do their own thing and then kind of just keeping that throughout the postseason. So like nobody's putting pressure on anybody, kind of keeping things light.
Yeah, I think that in 21, I was able to use kind of the adrenaline and everything to my advantage. I think if you can use it to your advantage, and instead of trying to, you know, some people talk about, I just block it, it's just another game. Well, it's not just another game. That's
bullshit.
You're lying. If you say it's just another game, it's not. But if you embrace it, if you like look around, take it all in, embrace it, enjoy it, and use that to fuel you, then you can do some really special things. But you know, the people that say, it's just another game, it's play it the same. It's not. You can't, because you look around and there's 45,000 people going absolutely bonkers. Yeah. And but you just embrace it and use it to your advantage.
Yeah, erroneous when it comes to that. Yeah, at Game 7 of the World Series, you know what? It's just another game.
Sure.
And I think what people try to differentiate, I'll just say this, is that it is you have to go out and win the game. Like it's nothing's changed from the same plan that you have. It's the only difference is now Game 1 and Game 162, that every game's the same, right? In the sense of a win or loss matters the most, but I still digress. When you play your division playoffs, you're playing for your lives.
Yeah.
We talked about moments. You mess up, something happens, magnify, that could be the season. But you still have to go about it as game by game. How can I just go out there and execute?
Right.
But I mean,
you can't panic. And you know, some of this stuff that you see in baseball right now is, you know, you saw it yesterday with Toronto. I couldn't believe when they took Berrios out of the game in the 4th inning.
Tie game 0-0.
0-0. He's
0-0.
throwing. He walks the guy that hit 2 home runs the day before. Okay. And you know, if you asked him, he's probably like, if I walked him, I was fine with it. And then you take him out of the game in the 4th inning when he's throwing an unbelievable game. So I think that you just let the players play. You know, you let the players play. You trust in them, do what got them there, and see what happens. But you know, I hate to see things change when you get to the postseason, when you put together unbelievable years and then all of a sudden you want to change everything you've done.
All right. So I think we've kind of gotten to a point to where I would like to ask you, Ryan.
Oh,
who you got? Game 1, Rangers, Orioles.
oh,
I don't know. Listen, I know that we true honest. Like even if it is going to be the Rangers, like who you think's who's supposed to be starting? It's
I think it's gonna be Bradish.
The
right?
Rangers,
it has to be in their line of what they want to end up doing. But I'll say this: I don't know who's gonna win Game 1, but I will. I'll tell. No. Hey, I'm gonna say this: I think it's split going to Texas.
Okay.
I think Texas is gonna win a game in Baltimore. I don't want them to win a game in Baltimore. I want Gunnar to hit 3 home runs each game, which I told you about Gunnar. You're welcome, Gav. And I hope he balls out.
Yeah.
But I do think this Texas lineup is going to be tough.
Yeah, that's going to give them some problems. I don't think that it's just going to be a walk in the park. I would love to see a sweep, but I just don't see that happening. For me personally, I agree. I think they split here on at home, and then they actually take them on the road, only because the Orioles have a much better record on the road. It's kind of crazy how good the record is away from Camden Yards. So I think that there's even from the advantages that we've also talked about, they're just a great road team. So I think that the Orioles do end up taking the series, but it'll actually be on the road.
Yeah. So since I just got told I was copying out, Gav, who do you have then in Game 1 and beyond?
Oof, I think
the cop out.
I think Game 1 will be Texas, and I think Game 2 the Orioles will win.
Why you got Game 1 on Texas?
I just think that it's going to be it's
Big
going to be
stage?
a lot. It's going to be a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of emotions. I think that there's going to be, I think Texas is going to be just settled in that moment.
Yeah.
But I think they come back out Game 2 knowing exactly what to expect, and I think they win Game 2. And I agree. I think that when they get on the road, I think they'll be more comfortable because I think they'll be able to take. I don't think the crowd's going to affect them too much as a young team. They're so, their clubhouse is great. They're really close to each other, and I think that they win it. They could win 2. I wouldn't be surprised if they won 2 in Texas.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I think it's O's in 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back to Baltimore for Game 5.
Yeah.
I think that of the I was thinking for the longest time about if they played the Rays, that the knowing each other would be a issue. But for all the reasons, Texas had that cold streak. They're past that. They and Corey Seager. I don't think people know how good Corey Seager is.
Yes, they do.
Some people. I don't think they understand like how good of his season he actually had.
Honestly,
I would imagine the Orioles' game plan is you cannot let that guy beat you.
Yeah, I mean the guy that missed he played 119 games, had less than 500 at bats, and had 33 jacks.
I honestly, even though it was a division opponent, I would have much rather had faced the Rays just because of our record against them, and it's kind of seemed as if the O's had the Rays number all season long.
They did, but everyone was going to have a headache, and for me,
that's why it's playoff baseball. But I'm just saying, if I had to choose between one or the other, it would have been the Rays over the Rangers at this point.
I agree.
All right. Well, hey, we'll see what happens. Fans, get your aspirin, get your Pepto-Bismol if you're a fan.
I mean, how about that too? I mean, 3 teams in the AL East, and they're all out except for Baltimore.
2 are out. 2 are out for sure.
Yeah.
And we'll find out. But get your maybe Pepto should be a sponsor. I can't tell you how much Pepto I have.
Oh
seen.
my
I think
Lanta!
a pink hat would look good on you.
Oh yeah,
it would.
Yeah,
it would. I am so interested, and thank you guys for the
diarrhea face would be epic.
What?
That's the last symptom.
But
Pepto-Bismol, diarrhea.
Of course you go there. I was thinking more nausea and heartburn for
indigestion.
For fans. There you go.
Diarrhea.
But I was good.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's talk football. You want to talk football?
Well, I just want to say last thing real quickly.
Okay.
Do you think the Twins got a shot against Houston?
Ooh, that's good. Good question.
Oof.
Cop out.
They have one thing that they have is incredible pitching, and I think in the playoffs that gives you a chance. So,
so you're telling me there's a chance.
I think they have a chance. I think they have the advantage with pitching. Unfortunately, we ran into Houston in 21 in the playoffs, and speaking from experience, something about them, they rise to the occasion better than any team in baseball. They find a way in the postseason to play their best baseball, and that's something that you can't teach, you can't prepare for, and so it's going to be really tough. I think that Minnesota Twins pitching is going to have to carry them like they have. And, they have a chance, but it's going to be an uphill battle.
For sure.
I agree. I think Houston, I would like to see the Twins win that series.
Hey, I will say, we called Orioles Astros ALCS
With Jeremy. Yeah.
Yep, and that was right around the All-Star break. So that would be crazy. We actually ended up if that came to fruition.
I mean,
good chance.
It really could be that. And H-Town's still the defending champs until further notice. So now we can dive into football because, Gav, you like a little foosball here as well. Still, am I deciding? Am I going with Justin Fields tonight?
Oh, we got Justin Fields
or CJ Stroud.
I'm still going Stroud.
I think you go Justin Fields just so you can root for a Thursday night football game.
So does that mean
because it's going to be a lousy?
Because Sunday you're going to have all your guys going.
That is a good point. That's a good point.
It locks you in for Thursday night football.
Orioles are playing. The Ravens are playing at 1.
Yeah,
I mean,
give you something to cheer for tonight.
Yeah, and I have DJ Moore, but it can go really good or really bad.
Yeah.
But we're 3-1 by the way with that combo. I don't know how with the Bears. That's a whole. We'll get. Actually, let's make that pick right now. We'll start it off.
Yeah.
Before we actually get into it, I just want to say thank you to Mace. Appreciate that. We're trying to grow this, get better. It means the world to have support. And again, for anyone that's new, hit that subscribe button, like it. And if you don't like me, but you like Gavin, still hit that subscribe button. But
it's the hair. It's the hair.
What's hair? His hair?
It's this hair that keeps the people.
Are you talking about your own hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not yours.
That's accurate. That's accurate. But damn, I look good.
Well, and listen, we are trying to grow, but we are growing. So if you guys are new to the channel, we appreciate it. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. If you are just joining us for the first time and haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button as well. We certainly would appreciate that. Man, we're almost at 1,000 subs. It's pretty awesome.
And we really have just been doing this consistently for the last couple
Hasn't
months.
been long. Hasn't been long.
We're grinding out here, but we have a lot of room for activities in here and a lot more things.
Lots of big things coming. I'm super pumped.
A lot of big things coming here. And it's starting off with Gav being here. You're a good kid, man.
Yeah,
welcome
man.
back.
Thanks
to
for
come back. I'll be around all off season, so I'd love to.
Good. Well, you're getting the hot tub ready for me, so I'm pumped.
Can I get a hot tub?
Can I get a hot tub? Oh man. Yeah, Joe, by the way, boneless wings are fantastic. That is accurate.
Boneless wings again.
Bobby Baltimore breaks the tie. Bobby, that's why we're boys.
Chicken nuggets for adults.
You like boneless wings, Kev?
I like all food.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you.
I didn't say I didn't like them. I just said that traditional wings are better than boneless.
It depends on the wing.
Yeah. I mean, boneless wings are a glorified chicken nugget.
That's what I'm saying. See?
Okay, you know what? We're getting off topic. Let's go back to this game.
That's what I thought.
15 minutes, it kicks off. Commanders are taking on the Bears in Washington. I think the line's at Commanders -6.
Yes, that's correct.
Gav, what do you got?
I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to the Bears.
Hey,
going to Bears.
Don't go away from the mic.
I'm going with Chicago.
There you go. Yeah,
going with the Bears.
There you go.
Chicago fans need this.
They do need this, but I'm going Commanders, and I don't even think it's going to be close.
You don't think it's close at all?
No.
I think Commanders win. I hope it's a little bit. If I'm starting Fields, it better than take the over, right?
Be a shootout.
Bears over.
Yeah, Bears and over.
Bears in the over.
Well, I can't live with that. I'm going to go with Commanders. And actually, for the rest of my picks, I'm going to give myself a little bit of pat on the back. Only missed one last week. That was the Saints and the Bucks. I took the Saints in that. Got everyone else right. Can we do it again? We'll find out.
That's the only one that I actually got right. Well, I won't say the only one I got right.
No, you did fine.
Of the ones that you got wrong, that was one I got right.
That is correct.
And honestly, and I'll say this entire season, I'm like super happy for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Just because he's just gotten the shaft ever since he's entered the league, and now it kind of feels like he's got some consistency about him. I don't know, looks like a good team.
Got some weapons around.
Yeah, good coaching. It's good. All right. So week 5, we do have the lineup here. Let me. I might have it. I don't have it pulled up. Oh, yep, I do have it pulled up. Here we go. Here's the teams that are playing week 5. interesting matchups this week. First off, we have Lions, Panthers. I don't think that we have to talk too much about this one because it's pretty much a given. Lions are favored by 10 points. Jesus Christ.
It's a big one, Gavin. What do we think?
That's the Lions.
I mean, yeah. What is there to break down? The Panthers suck. The Lions are great. They're favored by 10 points. Probably generous. Lions are going to win. Ryan, agreed, Ryan?
I think they're going to win the game. Yeah, Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell, I'd run through a brick wall for
Oh,
him.
my God.
How do you not like that guy?
Love that guy.
Incredible.
The intensity, so real with the interview. And the Lions are getting Jameson Williams back, the first round pick for Bama.
Yeah.
He had the whole betting thing, which he got suspended for betting, not on any NFL game, but because he bet in the facility. That's a different topic.
It is a weird rule, but yeah.
It's a different topic for a different time. But yeah, Lions win this game. Dan Campbell was the famous line initially to start off, bite someone's kneecap off. They might bite off a kneecap in this one.
All right, next one. Guys, the Ravens are favored by 4.5 points going into Pittsburgh. Matt Canada's story has been circling around. Mike Tomlin has been given flowers to flowers. And
I see what you did there.
It is, listen, Ravens hung up 28 points on the number 1 ranked defense last week. What do we got?
Gav, keep it going.
I never get excited when we play the Steelers. I think -4.5 is those games always seem like they come down to a field goal. But I like the Ravens going in there. And I think that the Colts loss, as bad as it was, I think it was good for the Ravens early.
Like it. I'm with it. I'm taking the Ravens. I don't know of always the points, and I'll explain this real quickly. We know this. If you watch the Ravens Steelers, they're usually grinded out, slugfest type games.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh always plays better at home. And actually, if we're looking over the last, if I'm reading this correctly, the last 6 meetings, only one game has been decided by more than 4 points. And that was when the Ravens lost to Pittsburgh in 2020, 19-14, when the entire team was out really with COVID during Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Or that Thanksgiving game that was played on the following Wednesday, I think is what happened. So it's going to be close, but give me Baltimore.
All right. I got Baltimore too. I don't think it's actually going to be close. We'll see, but that offense is atrocious. And the Ravens are almost 100% healthy. We might see Marlon Humphrey on the field this coming week. And Marcus Williams as well. That happens. I don't think the Steelers have a chance.
Well, that'd be nice.
It would be nice. Next up, we got Bills. Jags are going to be across the pond. I think this is going to be an interesting one. We talked about this before we went on air, Ryan, about this game. It's another London game. The Jags has stayed over there since last week, as you recall them taking it to the Falcons. We got the Bills are favored by 5.5 points. I'm taking the under on points here, just because you got Bills coming in. Yeah, they had an amazing game against the Dolphins, but I think it's going to be a little bit different. The Jaguars have been well rested up. They've adjusted to being in London, and say what you will, but that is a tough adjustment with just a few days to play after getting there. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I actually like the Jaguars here.
Well, stop traffic, because I don't. I like Buffalo to roll in this. They did just lose my pronunciation. White, their star cornerback, is done for the year. I think I just read, but that defense is still ferocious. Von Miller is getting back soon. I don't trust that the Jaguars are going to figure out their offense struggles, which they've had. They put up a few more points, but they did have a pick 6 against Atlanta. Other than that, they've struggled to score points since week 1. I'd like Buffalo. I think Josh Allen's going to have a big game.
I think that Jacksonville staying in London is a huge advantage. Being acclimated there. I like your pick. I'm going to go Jacksonville in this one, even though the Bills are playing really good football. I think that this could be a letdown from their big win last week against the Dolphins, where they looked really, really good.
I mean, and it's kind of crazy. It's like the Dolphins go and hang 70 on the Broncos, then they can barely score. Well, I won't say barely, but like they didn't do well against the Bills. You almost kind of feel like the Bills could end up having a similar mentality, and then they're traveling the way that they are. So yeah, that's why I got the Jags winning that one. Next up, we got the Rams and Eagles. This is going to be a good game, I think. What's the line here? Let me just bear with me a second.
Right here, 4.5.
Eagles are favored by 4.5. This is another upset to me. The Rams are just playing really good football, man. And Puka is
Puka Nacua. Cooper Kupp's back.
Cooper Kupp's
now.
back, right? Yeah, but do we know if he's going to be playing or not?
It hasn't been decided yet.
I mean, Matt Stafford is slinging it. And I think that we still haven't quite figured, and we talked about this earlier in the week, we still haven't quite figured out the identity of the Eagles, even though that they're 4-0. The way that they've been playing has been like really sus. They almost lost it to the Commanders last week. Yeah. Obviously, it's a division game, but we know how division game goes. But regardless, the Eagles should have been a far superior team, and it just didn't look like they were. In week 1, we even saw kind of like weird. They gave up a ton of points late in the game to bring the Patriots back into that too. So it's just weird. The Rams, you at least know who they are, and with Matt Stafford slinging it around, I think that it's possible and likely that the Rams could end up sneaking a win or taking one away from the Eagles and handing them their first loss.
I don't hate that. I think Matt Stafford's having a great year so far, and being in LA is going to be a little bit more challenging, but I just don't know if Cooper Kupp plays, it's going to change really the whole complexion, because the Eagles have gotten beat passing the football.
Their secondary isn't as good as
and they're a little bit banged up, but they're not going to get run on.
Right.
They're gonna do well offensively. I think I'm still gonna take the Eagles in this one. I think that because of how badly they played at home defensively, I think they bounce back. But I think the Rams definitely could cover this one.
I'm gonna go against you guys. I think the Eagles win pretty big.
Ooh.
I think they come out. I think
traffic.
I think this is the first week where they really put together a really good football game. I think that they've played decent. Obviously everybody's saying that they haven't clicked yet. They're obviously 4-0. I think they put together a really good week here, and I think they win by more than 4.5.
Oh, more than 4.5.
More.
Wow. Okay.
I think they give it to them.
All right.
Oh, they give it to them. Good. Yeah. Next.
Yeah.
Next up,
they can bang.
They can bang. They can. All right. So next up we got I just lost my Vikings Chiefs. Vikings Chiefs, and Chiefs are favored by 3.5. Man, this is going to be a close game, I think. The Chiefs, as we know, close game against the Jets. And this is another team, right? Like that we still haven't quite figured out who they are this year, because of offensively, they've had a lot of questions. They lost against the Lions. The only team that really beat convincingly, I thought, was the Bears, just like everybody else in the NFL. But I think that, the Vikings have had a tough go. Yeah. Kirk Cousins has been throwing a lot of INTs, but I think it's going to be a pretty close. I don't think that Vegas is wrong on this 3.5 points, but I am going to have to take Chiefs. I got to take my homeboy. And that's the first. Is that the first? I think that's the first one I've taken that's in favor this week so far.
All right. Gav.
This is tough for me because I'm a big Kirk Cousins fan.
Captain Kirk.
Me too.
He's having an incredible season, but they just haven't won, which is a tough start. I
have him in my fantasy league, and he's just bananas.
He's unbelievable.
Balling.
The only thing, though, is I think that the Chiefs they played so poorly against the Jets, and they're being talked about, and Mahomes is being, did Zach Wilson outplay him on Sunday Night Football? I think that he's going to take that out on the Vikings. It's going to be
a good point.
A high-scoring game. But I think the Chiefs are going to – I think Mahomes is going to come out and kind of say, I'm still here.
Well, and the interesting thing is, before you give your pick, Ryan, is that the Chiefs' defense has actually been good all year. Yeah. And it kind of seemed as if they lost a step last week. So it'll be interesting if they also have a bounce-back game. But I agree. That's a very good point. What you got?
I think I'm with Gav on that. I think because that it was so magnified that they didn't play well, and Mahomes offensively wasn't really himself. Now the Jets defenses was lights out. They played extremely well. I have a tough time seeing the Chiefs having 2 bad offensive games in a row. I don't care how the defenses are. I don't trust the Vikings defense. I think Kirk can keep it close, but it's not going to be close enough to win the game.
All right. Next up, we got Colts Titans, and this is another one that I think is going to be a good game. Last week we talked about how there wasn't a whole lot of good games to watch, and the one good matchup that I thought was going to be fun to watch was Dolphins Bills, and that made me sad.
Brutal.
But this is going to be another good matchup. Divisional matchup in the AFC South. The Titans are favored by 2.5. My God, I think it is a toss-up. I think it's a coin flip as to who wins this. But if I had to go with a team that had the better defense, I think it's the Colts, and I'm going to go Colts on this one as the underdogs. It's you.
It's me.
Yeah, it's you.
I'm the problem. It's me. I should have saved that for a Taylor Swift and the Chiefs.
Can anybody?
Please, no.
The Kansas City Swifts.
You said shitty.
Oh,
I did not say that.
Kansas shitty.
I did not say that. They're going to ball out. Kelsey's probably going to have 2 touchdowns this week. But anyway, I am going to take Tennessee in this one. I think, quite frankly, I think the Titans are this team we can't figure out, but they're going to be in it the whole way.
Yep. Mike, the coaching is just incredible.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, this is the point I brought up last week, and we both agreed on this. We thought that there's no chance that they were to get embarrassed or come out unprepared against the Bengals, which they didn't. They smoked them.
Yeah.
Now it's, can you do it again? And this is a big game because that division's up for grabs right now. Truly is up for grabs. So Tennessee, I trust them. I think Derrick Henry does his thing. I think they do enough to win.
I agree. I think Tennessee, it comes down to coaching, and they always find a way where they're not going to wow you, but they win games, and you'll see them in the playoffs, and they're never a fun team to play.
They just grind it out, man.
They grind it out.
They really do. Next up, we got speaking of Bengals, we got Bengals and Cards. The Cards are favored by 3 points.
No.
Sorry, Bengals are favored by 3 points. Which honestly, I think the Cardinals should be favored by 3 points. The Bengals are just playing bad football. Joe Burrow still can't get mobile with that calf injury, and he's just an absolutely different guy out there on the field. Still hasn't quite proven it to me, and until he does, I'm just not going to be a believer in Cincinnati. Josh Dobbs is playing some pretty good ball, and so for those reasons, I'm taking the Cards.
I'll take this one. I don't want the Bengals to win this game, but I think that they do. I just, if the Bengals lose this game, the season's over.
Yeah,
like it is, and not saying that it couldn't be in jeopardy right now, but if losing to the Cardinals, it's a game you must have. And actually, then the game is in Arizona, not in Cincy. So and that's going to make it tougher. I think Arizona could pull
next 4 games.
All right, but that's the part. If they lose this game, they have Seattle, San Francisco, Buffalo, Houston, Baltimore. Actually,
they could go 2-4, and that would be playing well.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have to win this game. So I'm for that reason, because they must win the game. I think they get it done against Arizona.
I agree. I think they have to get this win. I think that Jamar Chase is going to have a big game because he's very outspoken last week, saying that he's always open. But they need him to step up, and they need Mixon to step up to get the guys off of Burrow, because he's obviously can't move around very well right now, and this is a must win.
The Bengals have scored 2 total touchdowns. Is that right? This entire year? Oh, that's 2 passing touchdowns this entire year.
Yeah, one rushing.
Well, they didn't score. Well, no, they didn't score against the Browns. They scored 2 against the Ravens, 1 rushing against the Rams. Yeah, 3 total touchdowns.
That's they're gonna have to do more than that to beat the Cardinals this week, I think.
Well, we're gonna find out.
All right. Next up, we have Jets Broncos. This is gonna be the revenge game, right?
Yeah, Zach Wilson and the Jets going to play the Denver Broncos here, and that's after Nathaniel Hackett was just called out by Sean Payton about saying this is arguably one of the worst coaching performances in NFL history.
Yeah.
And the fact that you come after a grown man or anybody like that as a professional, which Hackett didn't do anything wrong besides the team was not good.
Yeah.
He's not a bad guy. He didn't do anything and just out of his way. I think the Jets win this game. I think the Jets go, they don't forget. And I think that Broncos defense is awful.
Yes.
Terrible. Gav?
This is tough. Because I don't know what Wilson we're going to see. Obviously, if we see the Wilson from last week, I think it could be I think they could be a playoff team potentially. But, do we get excited about, one good half? I don't know. Obviously I love that this is gonna get really chippy. I think you're gonna see how much the Broncos guys like Sean Payton, and you're gonna see how much the Jets guys like I can't even think of his name right now. Hackett. So, if the players come to play for their coaches, this will be a fun game. I'm gonna take the Jets.
I'm taking the Jets as well. The Broncos are favored by 2 points. I just think that the Jets, even though they haven't had their record doesn't reflect it, I do think that they are a better team than the Broncos just all around. There's just not one element to that football team that has been good at all. So anyways, I'm taking Jets on this one. I do hope that we see a continuation of Zach Wilson. As much flack as he's gotten, and we've talked about this, Ryan, it's kind of been a lot, almost too much at this point. Yeah, he hasn't played good ball, but between Rodney Harrison going after him and baiting Chris Jones, it was like you almost kind of feel like you want to root for the guy now.
Yeah.
So I'm going Jets on this one. Next one we have is going to be Commanders Bears. We talked about that tonight.
We already did. And by the way, I did start Justin Fields. So let's go. Justin Fields, DJ Moore, each combined for 65 points, and the Commanders win. That's kind of actually how it would happen last week. It's Justin Fields, 4 touchdowns. The Bears have a 21-point lead and they lose. But Falcons, Texans, Brad, we talked about this for a while about how much we like CJ Stroud.
Yes.
How much you liking CJ Stroud this week?
I'm loving him. The Texans are not favored in this game. Falcons are favored by 1.5. I'm taking the underdogs on this one. And CJ Stroud has just been playing unbelievably well. He'll probably will be the rookie of the year. It's crazy how many teams whiffed on that guy.
What's the Texans record?
2-2.
2-2.
2-2.
And not just that they barely snuck by those wins. They dominated Jacksonville at Jacksonville, won by 20, and then come home to play Pittsburgh,
whooped on them,
and didn't allow a touchdown.
Yeah.
So
that was the other thing we talked about too. What was it against the Colts? We talked about the Texans defense and how good they were, and that carried over from last year. So CJ Stroud even has that support on that side. So I'm taking Texans all the way here.
I'm excited to see. I think that this could be the matchup of the two guys that could win Rookie of the Year. I think Bijan Robinson is unbelievable. So it'll be interesting to see how Texans handles him because he's an electric player. So I think I'm going to go the Falcons on this one.
If the Falcons run the football well, they're going to win the game. Because that's what they have to do. They don't want Desmond Ridder to throw. The Texans are very strong in the secondary. But if they can't run the ball efficiently and effectively throughout the game, Texans, I'm still taking Texans. I think CJ Stroud is a superstar in the making. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans win this game. We have to seriously start to consider them of being in the conversation to win that division.
What was the total yards that was given up? We looked that up, didn't we? Yards allowed per game by the Texans as far as rushing is concerned. I can't find it, but either way, I'd be curious to see what those numbers were, just because, can Bijan Robinson get through that defense?
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. It's gonna be a fun matchup for that because I think you got two, exceptional rookies going against each other, and obviously the focal point of both offenses. So we'll see if Dameon Pierce can get going too this week.
Yeah, we need a Pierce game
in fantasy. So see him get going.
And by the way, for as far as you were curious about Houston's run defense, they're more towards the bottom third. They're 19th.
Okay. So,
they're stronger against the pass. They're in the top. I think they're in the top 7 against the pass. Not as strong in the run game, and that's something that obviously Atlanta, if they're like, hey, we want to run the ball. I also saw something that said if Justin Fields went to Atlanta, how dangerous that offense could be.
Oh, yeah.
Could be scary. And by the way, Justin Fields to DJ Moore for 48 yards, but who's keeping track of that right now? Certainly not me. Let's go to the next game.
Wow.
Next game, we have the Cowboys and the 49ers. Another
game of the week.
Game of the week. I believe this is a Sunday night game, correct?
Yes.
Sunday night game. So this is going to be
in San Fran.
It's going to be a great game to watch. San Fran is favored by 3.5 points. I think that this game could be a blowout game. And the 49ers are going to take it to the Cowboys because the Cowboys, the 3 teams that they've beaten are all 1-3, and they lost to the Cardinals. To me, they just haven't proven to me that they are the team that a lot of people have put them on this pedestal. When they do this, Cowboys fans do this beginning of the year, every year. They're the Super Bowl team. They get one giant win, and it's like all of a sudden, they're Super Bowl contenders, blah, blah, blah. If the Cowboys beat the 49ers somehow, then maybe I'll start to be a little bit more of a believer. But it is a prove it to me game, and I just think the 49ers are a far superior team. Christian McCaffrey is going to run all over the Cowboys, and it's not even going to be close, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. I think that it seems that whenever Dak gets into these games, he kind of doesn't play up to the game. I'm a big fan of Purdy's. It seems like he makes the right plays at the right time and doesn't make the big mistakes. So I agree. I think 49ers, I think they're the best team in football. And I think that they can really put it to them. Yep. Primetime game at home. I like them big.
Right.
Yeah, I think San Fran. Their defense to me is going to give. It has given problems. I want to see Dak do well. By the way, like I really do. But he's going to have to fight his demons against the 49ers, and the 49ers have been a problem not only for him but for the Dallas Cowboys in the last 2 games, especially. And they got to try to wipe that or get that bad taste out of their mouth. You're looking at the 2 playoff losses consecutively to the to the 49ers. And Brock Purdy has not lost a game in the regular season as a starting quarterback. Yeah. Games in San Fran.
Unbelievable.
He's got an electric nickname as well, which you guys can.
Big Cock Brock.
Well, there it is. And he is going to go out there, and I hope he continues to play well. And it's a great story. Did you see also that apparently he shares rent. He has a roommate. He has a roommate, drives a Toyota Sequoia. How do you not want this guy to do well? He's just living his life, man.
I don't think he cares about the rent. I just think he just likes living with a roommate.
Yeah, I think that is too. Like, it's just nice, when you see, like, sometimes football players, professional athletes, you guys both know this. Like, sometimes there can be like this over glamorization, and then they live outside their means or whatever. They just go bananas on spending money on whatever.
Yep.
But you got guys like Kirk Cousins or Brock Purdy, right? Just living their normal everyday life. Nothing's changed them.
Yeah.
So it's just a cool, like, it's what Kirk Cousins' wife. Did you watch Quarterback?
I did not yet. I need to do my homework.
Got it. It just ended up becoming a huge Kirk Cousins fan after that.
I feel like everyone did.
His wife goes to Target and just dresses him. It's hilarious.
Well, and also to another cool Kirk moment for the playoffs. I don't know if you saw that too. Went to the Twins game, didn't ask for a favor, just bought the tickets.
Yeah.
And brought his family.
Right.
He supported the cause, and he just was doing his thing. I mean,
he's there teaching his son baseball. Great.
It's so cool.
You can't not root for the guy.
No.
All right. I might have to change
my
pick.
Back. Vikings are winning.
Yeah, Vikings all the way.
He's throwing 6 touchdowns. Great game.
He might throw 2 of those to the other team, but we'll see. All right, next game we got is the Saints Patriots. Saints, I think, are favored by 1. Yes, they're favored by 1. Yeah. This is going to be a defensive matchup for obvious reasons. I am going to take the Saints. Patriots just have not been playing good ball. Unfortunately, I kind of thought that perhaps they were going to turn a leaf. They just haven't seemed to do that. Bill Belichick is under some scrutiny, I think, up to this point. And Bill O'Brien looked like he was making some changes to that offense to help out Mac Jones, and it doesn't look like Mac Jones has been that dude.
Is he starting this week? I know he got benched.
Did Mac Jones get benched?
He got benched last week.
Oh, that's.
I don't even know if he's. I mean, I would imagine he's starting, but
I would imagine he's starting, but he's probably on a very short leash.
Yeah,
I think. Well, right now, I'll talk about a game that both these teams, Saints, need to stop the bleeding. They let that game against the Packers get away. The big comeback. You lose at home to the Bucs. Like, you can't afford to lose a 3rd straight game and 2 straight at home and try to compete for the division.
It's a must-win for both teams.
But having said that, I think New England wins. If it's going to be a dogfight, give me the defense that I think will be stronger, and I think that's going to be the Patriots. I think they're going to say, "Hey, Zeke and Stevenson, you are going to get the ball 50 times, and if we don't do anything, fine, but we're not going to let we're not going to make mistakes that are going to take us out of this game. If the Saints beat us, it's going to be because that they put up a bunch of points. Give me the Patriots on the road.
I believe Judon's out for the year, right?
Judon's out indefinitely, but more than likely they did lose their star emerging cornerback as well for the Patriots. But I'm still just, if we're going to do coaching between the two, I don't think the environment's going to be, it's going to New Orleans isn't as daunting as it used to be.
Yeah.
And so, yes, the Saints could bounce back, but the Patriots also were just embarrassed on the 4:00 national game. Give me New England.
All right. Last game that we're picking this week is going to be a, I don't know. It's just going to, it's the Dolphins and the Giants. I think this is the Dolphins are favored by 11.5 points. I think this is it probably goes without saying. The Dolphins are going to take out all of their frustrations from last week on the Giants, and it's going to be a bajillion to 0.
Yeah, I think this is the easiest pick of the week. I got Dolphins in this one.
They're over on everything.
I got Fins as well, but I think that we'll see some sort. I bet you this. Darren Waller gets the football this week, because if he doesn't, I don't know what they're doing.
Darren Waller gets the ball this week if Daniel Jones can actually get the ball out. And this, I talked about this, or I put a tweet out. You actually retweeted me earlier this week. Daniel Jones is on pace for getting sacked 110 times this year. He's been sacked 22 times through the first 4 games, and a lot of people want to place the blame on that guy, but he can ball. We've seen him do that. He just has to be upright for more than 1.5 seconds.
He's rattled right now.
Yeah,
too.
I mean,
his internal
running for your life.
His internal clock's going off. But another way to just, I don't know, make him feel better. Maybe draw up plays to get to your superstar tight end. And if you want a tight end to block, which is that's what won me a fantasy matchup, is that Waller kept blocking and Kenneth Walker went off. Kenny Walker is the captain of my team. If this was the case, if you want someone to block, leave someone else in the block and let Darren Waller go run a route, or have him be involved in the offense, because they have 0 chance if he only has 1 target going into the 4th quarter. It's going to be Dolphins, but I think squeaky wheel Darren Waller is going to get the ball this week. Whammy.
Yep.
Looking good.
Good pick, right?
That's it. That's going to do it for our picks. We can get it. We're short on time, but we're going to cover a couple other big games. But I think that's good.
Yeah.
We had tons of content.
We got a ton of stuff. We got a ton of baseball. I think, honestly, I think we can just quick on the. Well, yeah, we really touched everything. We're good.
I think we're good.
And Gavin's hungry here.
Gavin, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Anytime. This is a lot of fun.
I wish we can get Jimmy on here to give us his analysis. It's one of Gav's teammates on the state of the NFL in the post Rodgers NFL.
Just gonna need a mute button when he gets really good.
Yeah, we need the pardon the interruption type of thing, or not pardon the interruption, around the horn.
Yeah,
push the button.
Just put him on mute.
Perfect.
I like that.
That'll be great. But hey, Gav, appreciate you. You're a good kid.
Yeah, man.
And that will do it for this episode. Again, before we head out of here, please hit that subscribe button if you're new. And if you're coming back for another visit, hit that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. And we're going to break down a lot more of the games in the postseason, especially with the Orioles. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope Gavin enjoyed his rollovers, but we did give him some nice moments when he had a couple hits. You win some, you lose some, Gav. But hey, you guys have a great night. We'll see you Thursday for another episode of the Ryan Ripken Show.
We'll see you Monday. Today is Thursday.
Oh, wow. See you Monday. See you Monday. Have a good weekend. Woof. Go O's.